Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Okay, brothers, subhanallah, I'm not quite sure how to basically process this. Mashallah, very close brother, mashallah, has sent me this article this morning, during around Fajr Salah time. And it's thrown me aback. Well, it's eerily similar to what our data and then my dreams, as it were, have revealed so far to me. I'm going to read it, and I don't in the least feel, once I'm reflecting on it, I don't think I feel vindicated. I actually feel a lot more anxiety, because I'd sooner it was all a figment of my imagination than rather accept that it possibly is true and accurate, because of what I understand will follow this sign. Let's read this anyway and see exactly what they've got to say. Twin stars orbited by 3 giant planets discovered. Okay, now I've mentioned that this particular star that's come into our solar system, and this is going back months now. In fact, even a recording that I sent to an alim and some other ulama, I go into a little bit more detail, and I mention planets and the colors of those planets as well. I understand there are 3 to 4 planets that are orbiting this star with other satellites orbiting it. When I mean satellites, I mean moons orbiting these planets that are orbiting this star, which is then a binary star to our star, our sun. The colors of these planets, as I understand it from the data and my dreams, are red, blue. I think there's a beige one. I'm not sure where the color purple came from. Maybe perhaps that was the blue. It's somewhere, I'm kind of unsure about that particular color. But there seems to be a beige, almost multicolored atmosphere to one of them, and the other one certainly seems to be red. One seems to be blue, and the star seems to be a very bright star. But then for one reason or the other, there's also a dwarf star there somewhere. Now maybe that dwarf star could very possibly be this red gas giant, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Anyway, let's just read this article. Twin star orbited by 3 giant planets discovered. Experts believe one of the stars, which are 9.5 billion years old, may have swallowed some smaller planets in the past. Now that's really interesting, because astronomers, some have claimed that to explain away the asteroid belt within our solar system, because what we have is the asteroid belt. We've also got the Kuiper belt, which is further out of our solar system. So the inner solar system has got the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt is basically what splits. What you've got is Earth, then behind us we've got Mars, and then thereafter you've got the asteroid belt, and then you've got Jupiter, Neptune, etc. So these are any objects beyond Neptune called TNOs, trans-Neptune objects. And beyond the asteroid cloud, which is made of, by the way, interestingly enough, rock and metal, I think. That's what our asteroid belt is made of. Then you've got the Kuiper belt, which is mostly ice, um, ice rocks, and then you've got the Oort cloud, which is clumps of almost water, as it were, but made of water at least. So, and this is how our solar system, at least, you know, is laid out. And what is claimed is the asteroid belt, more importantly, relative to this article, is that it used to house a planet. There was a planet in our solar system, and one of this solar system that's come in, its star had collided into that particular planet and destroyed it into fragments. Hence our asteroid belt. That's where our asteroid belt comes from, because the fragments of that particular planet, which was destroyed as it collided into this star at whatever passage, whatever time in the past, when this particular star and its orbitals, its celestial bodies, came into our solar system. So again, this lends itself into that, but there's much more yet. It's really, the first time I read this article, it made my chest restrict. Okay, astronomers have discovered a trio of giant planets orbiting a pair of stellar twins similar to our sun. Okay, which is the exact same claim that we're making. You've seen it in the PDF science, and that was uploaded earlier Ramadan. This article is released. It was released on the 1st of September. What are the chances? It seems like they're trying to basically now, slowly but surely, leak the information out in anticipation of what's coming very, very soon. We've only got maybe from my guesstimates, and the data is a few months, maybe 3 months before we really, before it becomes apparent to everyone, and we can clearly see it in the sky. The problem is that when that happens, and again, I don't want to be a sensationalist, I certainly don't want to cause any sort of panic to anyone, but from my understanding, a lot of disasters will occur during its close passage to us. But also, what worries me a lot more is that I genuinely believe this again. And what are the chances of this research being right? So I really do need the ulama to lend me an ear now. That I sincerely believe they're going to be staging, and I know it sounds very far-fetched, but I believe they're going to be staging extraterrestrial contact. Staging, it's not going to be real. Okay, and there's a big agenda behind that, a huge agenda. It's almost like the entourage of Dajjal Lanatullah alayhi setting his stage upon his arrival. And when I say his arrival, when he reveals himself Lanatullahi alayhi to the world, I personally believe from the research and from what I understand, he'll claim extraterrestrial origins and having created uh, um, mankind in their present form. By splicing the DNA of the Homo erectus, as it were, and hybridizing that with their own DNA, and they are these very benevolent, advanced beings who did this, and also revealed religions to Insan during their stages, whether that be to tribes or the greater religions. So even Buddhism, Hinduism, all of these religions fall into their scheme, and this is why there's this drive in the United Nations for this one world religion. In fact, the Pope in a week's time is going. Interesting enough, the Pope is going to Pope Benedict or whatever he's called. I'm not sure what his name is going to Israel, and there is a it's almost like a one religion concept that they're basically trying to push out there, and it's for the three great religions: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Again, it's like a melting pot, and they're trying to basically bring all the religions together under another religion, and I think that religion of Dajjal is going to be the one of duality and the activation of the third eye. In other words, the two opposites, combining them, which is basically gleaned from the mystery religions as well as present day Freemasonry, and then activating the pineal gland, the third eye, and Nauzubillah min zalik from believing this, but just like Firaun, the claim he made that Ana Rabbakum al that I am Rabb the Most High. So it's all about, that's where Freemasonry at its highest degrees, basically, the claim that they make is that they are God themselves, Nauzubillah. And I think this is the sort of thing that they will bring, that you've got divine within yourself, you are divine, you're part of the collective consciousness. And that this will be the spiritual religion that Dajjal will seek to implement on his arrival. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, I could be entirely wrong, but it seems like it's going this way. Anyway, astronomers have discovered a trio of giant planets orbiting a pair of stellar twins similar to our Sun. The twin stars known as the HD 133121A and the HD 133131B circle each other just 33.5 billion miles apart. Now, please, they don't mention numbers without them having purpose, right? Especially for them, I've mentioned before, at least in Freemasonry, numbers have relevance. Geometry has relevance. Okay, they have sacred maths, they have sacred geometry, they have sacred architecture, and this is all just another language which keeps them hidden in plain sight. And in this, you'll see that very frequently there is the number 33, and then you've got 33.5. So these are 33 are degrees that they're referring to. Really, these numbers are probably just something they've almost made up. Okay, a third of the distance of other binary systems. Because of this, the three giant planets which they host are likely to have been scorched by their immense heat. Now, I understand that maybe perhaps there's four planets, or maybe perhaps one of those planets, maybe there are just three, and one of them is a giant moon. Lots of Ta'ala knows best. But I understand that there's almost seven, which includes the moons, celestial bodies following, of which three could very possibly be planets following this particular star. Okay, because of this, the three giant planets which they host are likely to have been scorched by their immense heat. Astronomers also believe that one of the stars may have swallowed some smaller planets in the past. Remember, now I just mentioned the asteroid belt to you and how it came into being. At least it's been postulated how it came into being, that there used to be a planet there, and this star, during its passage in the past, struck that particular planet, hence why we have our asteroid belt today, because that's the remaining debris left behind by this planet that used to exist. And they also postulate that our moon was the remnants of that particular planet, and then we basically borrowed it drew it into our gravity, and it's been functioning as our moon since. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Its twins host as a third planet, and that is 2.5 times the mass of Jupiter. That is absolutely incredibly large. That's huge. Finding such a huge planet is extremely rare. There you go. It is very rare. Dr. Johanna Tess, an astronomer at the Carnegie Institution for Science in Washington, D.C., said, "We are trying to figure out if giant planets like Jupiter often have long and eccentric orbits. If this is the case, it would be an important clue to figuring out the process by which our solar system formed, and might help us understand where habitable planets are likely to be found." So again, the same thread of the extraterrestrial life. When they mean habitable planets, they mean about planets that basically exist in the Goldilocks zone, which is the habitable zone in proximity to its star, the star that that particular planet orbits. And again, they're just pushing this agenda through academia, through education, through the media, about extraterrestrial life and it existing. And then you've got academia, science. Even recently, just in the last month, they've spoken about exoplanets existing 4.2 light years away from us, which is identical to our own planet Earth, apparently. So they think it's cause to believe that life could possibly be there. And recently, Russia just issued a article saying that they just detected a signal, a radio signal, and that radio signal had the signature of artificial intelligence. I'm sorry, of intelligence. So they're not sure whether it's intelligent life or whether it was actually something that was reflected. So they always play with these things where they'll put something out there but also retract it at the same time. It seems to be a very common thread. If this is the case, it will be an important clue to figuring out the process by which the solar system was formed and might help us understand where habitable planets are likely to be found. The stars were first spotted by our planet finder spectrograph on the Magellan Clay Telescope at the Las Campanas Observatory in Chile. They are relatively old stars, at about 9.5 billion years old, and are mainly composed of hydrogen and helium. Details of the system are published in the Astronomical Journal, including the theory that one of the stars could have swallowed up some baby planets earlier in its life, which is again what the claim is by astronomers, how our asteroid belt came into being. So it's very eerily similar to the data that the researchers, the amateur astronomers, and the astrophysicists are putting together. And it seems like all of it's piecing together, and now they're slowly drip feeding it as well, because they'll have to admit it when the passage does eventually happen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. I don't know how else to get, other ulama. It doesn't, I mean, I have sent this out to ulama, I've sent it out to Da'ul Daywin. They have escalated it. I've heard very little since. There's ulama locally in the UK, very prominent ones, whose attention I've drawn to this. It seems because it's such a magnificent claim, a lot of them are reluctant to take it on board. Now, for me, the only thing I've got is my dreams, and then the research, and the dreams are very vivid. They have a very, very common pattern, and I may see different things in those dreams, but the pattern's very, very common. And absolutely vivid. And I wake up in the same way, hearing the same thing as the dream comes to a close as well when it ends. So I know that this particular dream is something that I need to pay a lot of attention to. And what I've found is once I've done that, it's actually led me to a certain place where a revelation, almost a discovery. So it just reinforces the truth of that dream to me, that it's coming from somewhere. I wish it was me. I don't want any of this. Seriously, it's causing me a lot of anxiety, a lot of problems. Um, I want to shrug it off. I just want to pass it on to other man. Once I've taken a look at it, at least I can then, shrug it off my shoulders and say, Subhanallah, I've done what I had to do. And I've passed it on to the right people, the right individuals. They're the leaders of our ummah. They have the knowledge. They have proximity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can look at these signs through the light of Quran and Sunnah, and I can be free of this. Besides, from what I understand, things are going to get really bad for us. And I really don't want to